Okay, so we're doing the evens on page 231, but I'm only doing number 4 here. If you multiply each of these by x and then 2, x times x minus 7 times x. And then what's 2 times 3x squared? 6x squared. I'm going to put that below the x squared term. And then 2 times 2x, or 2 times x is 2x. 2 times minus 7. And then we're going to add, we're done multiplying now, we're going to add the like terms together. So 3x cubed is by itself. I wonder if this color is showing up very well. X squared plus 6x squared. You guys see that very well?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
For sure. For sure, man.
Negative 7 plus 2. Any questions?
No. No.
Okay, on number 6 is factoring. Can we solve for x on number 6? No, it's not an equation, so we can't figure out what x could be anything. So we can't solve it, we just factor it. Plus the directions just say factor. Let's do number 8 though, because that's definitely the hardest one. Nothing. All right. Any ideas for number 8? What can we do?
Factor.
Take
Combine
out
like terms.
Oh, yeah, just combine like terms.
There are no like terms. Take out what?
Solve it.
3A.
3 and a. You should always try to take stuff out first if you can. Most of the time you can't, but sometimes you can. So if we divide those by 3a, each of these 3 terms by 3a, what do we get?
36.
36 divided by 3 is 12. 8 is the third divided by a squared, just loses an a. 51 divided by 3 is 17. A squared divided by a.
AB minus
15 divided by 3.
5B squared.
The a's would cancel out.
B squared.
And b squared would be left. What do you think? Is the parentheses going to factor again? Probably so, right? Because we got a 3 term. Actually, I'm not sure. I think we've only done a couple with a b squared on it, but it doesn't really change much. Like a still 3 term. So what am I going to put in the front? What goes into 12a squared? 6a and 2a, or what? 4a and 3a, 12a and 1a. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose the right one for time's sake. You guys remember how we can tell whether it's right or not? Just got to plug everything in and see if it works.
Yeah.
The back side is easier though, because what goes into negative 5, b squared?
1, 5.
1
negative 5.
and negative 5. Or maybe negative 5 and 1. Okay, since it says negative 5b squared though, it should be negative 5b and 1b, or just b. Do you remember how we can tell whether this is right or not?
Plug in
No.
Check it. Check.
How?
4A times negative 5B.
Outside, inside. Outside is negative 20ab. Inside is plus 3ab. What's negative 20 plus 3?
17.
Negative 17. So if we wanted positive 17, that means I got the plus and minus backwards. Again, do I know what a is equal to on this one? No, it's not an equation that we can solve. It's just something we can factor. This is warming us up for the equations though. Number 10, we're actually going to skip it. We never did the graph thing. It's kind of pointless. It's not a need to know thing. Number 12. Okay, most of your calculators can handle these, right? The square root simplifying thing. Later on, I think we're gonna have to do some cubed roots, so it might be good to know how to do it by hand. 27 is basically 9 times 3. It's 3 squared root of 3. And 40 is 2 squared root of 10. Square root of 40 is 2 squared root of 10. Remember how we fixed the square root in the denominator?
Multiply both by square root of 10.
Yeah, if you multiply the bottom, you gotta multiply the top. The top, what's square root of 10 times square root of 10 on the bottom?
10.
10 times 2.
20.
On top, what's square root of 3 times square root of 10?
Square root of 30.
Square root of 30, which does not simplify.
Could you not have the test?
Test is Wednesday.
I thought you said it was
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, on 14, what kind of problem is that?
4?
No. What kind of problem is 14? Huh? Subtraction, yeah. You can only, hey, Trey, you can only subtract like terms though. Make sure you subtract both parentheses on the right. How do you know it's not FOIL?
Because they're not.
Because they're not next to each other. 16, what kind of problem is 16?
Well,
FOIL problem. Foiling with imaginary numbers. Actually, what's it called when you have the real number plus the imaginary number? What's that called?
yeah.
Complex.
Yeah.
Foiling complex numbers is pretty similar to normal FOIL, pretty similar to number 2. There is one little difference. You guys remember the difference? Well, let's just do it and find out. The first FOIL, first, outside, inside, last. First is 3 times 6. Outside, 3 times minus 5i.
Minus 15.
Minus 15i. Inside, 6 times 2i.
12.
And the last is 2i times negative 5i.
Minus 10i squared.
Minus 10i squared. I times I. Well, you guys remember what's special about this problem?
I squared really just equals -1.
I squared is worth negative 1.
Oh.
So anytime you see an I squared, you're supposed to turn it into negative 1. So what will that minus 10 turn into?
Plus 10.
A plus 10.
Gasp.
So we have 18 plus 10 is 28. Plus we have negative 15i plus 12i.
Negative 3i.
Negative 3i minus 3i.
We have plus 10, just I squared.
Oh.
Have you guys tried plugging one of these in the calculator yet?
I don't know how to make I on the
That
calculator.
one does. Only the white ones can do it.
My calculator.
But I'm not sure every calculator can do that one.
We're smarter than calculators.
No, we're not.
We're smarter than a calculator in history.
I'm better than true. I
Yeah,
hope.
the calculator worked.
Did it?
Everybody want a cookie? I have it in my pocket right now.
Okay, on number 18, we're supposed to solve the equation by factoring. Listen up. So on 20, what should you do first on 20?
Move the 18y over.
Minus the 18y over. And then after we minus the 18y over on 20, what would the next step be if we're factoring?
Probably.
Take out a y. So it's kind of like number 8. After you take something out, you're going to have 2 parentheses, like normal. 20 is actually a little easier than 18 because there's no number on the front term. But if you can take a y out, what's one of the answers going to be?
0.
0. On 18, We have 3x squared plus x minus 2. So it's just a 3-term factoring deal. What's going to go in the front?
3x and then an
3x and then x. And then
6 and negative.
what goes in the back?
1 and 2.
Yeah, negative 1 and 2, or 2 and negative 1. So if I put negative 1 and 2,
These
I get 6x minus 1x, which is not 1x. So I need to try 2 and 1 instead.
twist.
Okay, now the outside is negative 3x, the inside is plus 2x, which makes negative x, and I want a positive x. Well, I gotta get that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys remember after you factor these,
You,
how do you find x?
the second number is put over the first number.
Positive 2/3, or what? Negative 1. Those are the x values that make that equal 0.
You were watching Studio C in your class?
A long time ago.
Yeah.
That's great.
Studio C.
Like, you guys are like 7th grade or something?
Yeah.
That's so weird. You're like in seventh grade.
You don't know what Studio C is?
I'm lying, I just don't.
The Cran video is my favorite.
Who's
We used to watch
the
the
guy that
ice-
gets hit in the face?
Ice-
Scott Sterling.
Scott Sterling.
Scott Sterling.
We used to watch Bad Karma and like Chapel.
Yeah.
You make the most of the solutions
Okay, 20, I'm not doing 22, or 20. I'm doing the next one. Okay, 22.
Keep yourself together, sir.
Good.
Okay, on 22 it says solve by taking roots. What do you think they mean by taking roots?
Square off.
Like square root both sides. What should we probably do first though on 22?
At the full.
Add the 4. You want to get that square by itself.
Just ruined everything. Went from a good square root to not
Isn't it
one.
supposed to be 45?
Oh, is it? I was going to say this is not going to work out very well.
Oh yeah, it was.
Okay, what do we do at this point?
Square root everything.
Right, the square root gets rid of the square on the left. And then if you do that to the left, you gotta do the same thing to the right.
Isn't that plus or minus?
X minus 3 equals plus
Plus or minus?
Sam, you finally got it.
Plus or minus 7.
Yeah.
Oh,
Whenever you use the square root trick, you have to use plus or minus.
It only took it like, like a week.
Then what else do I need to do?
Longer than a week.
How do I solve this for x? Plus 2. So this is like 7 plus 2 and negative 7 plus 2. 7 plus 2 is 9. Negative 7 plus 2.
Oh?
Trying to figure out what Katie's doing with her hand. Very carefully placing it.
I wouldn't bald if I don't do that. So.
Really, you look bald.
Yeah, she really does.
I really do.
I don't believe you. Okay,
We should
Kinda
share with a towel on our hair. Just like rolled up.
alright. 23 says solve by completing the square. I'm afraid you guys.
24. Mr. Jordan.
Huh?
24, sir.
24.
We're doing evens.
Mr. Jordan.
But is it even?
That's what I meant. 24.
20. You are 26.
Yeah, I'm doing 26.
Oh, wait. Yeah, he's right. Okay.
I'm guessing you guys forgot how to do this, so you need to pay close attention.
You're correct, sir.
So the first thing is, they already did it for us, but your constants should be on the right. We only did a couple with a number on the front. If there's a, listen up, if there's a number on the x squared term, you need to get rid of it. How can I get rid of the 10?
Divide by 10.
So this becomes x squared. This is like 1x over 10, so it's 1/10 x.
Oh, is this the...
Okay, this is the part you probably forgot. Does anybody remember what we did after it was
Divide
Divide by 2.
2.
divide by 2? Divide what by 2? This thing, which is like multiplying by 1/2, so this would be 1/20th. And what did we do after we divided by 2?
Square.
1 times 1, 20 times 20,
140.
1/400.
1/400.
Jeez.
You add that to the left, and if you add it to the left, you have to add it to the right.
What would that be? It is 3.
Okay, so the reason we did that is because now the left factors perfectly. You guys remember how the left factors? Basically, it was x plus 120 squared equals 10 and 400. The common denominator would be 400. Multiply by 40 there, and you get 120 over 400.
That was 121.
It's 121. Now what?
Square root.
It's kind of like the last problem. Yeah. To get rid of the square, we square rooted it. Square rooted. It's not a verb. Square rooted it. What's square root of 121?
11/20.
11, 20. What did I forget?
Plus one.
Plus.
Oh,
Dang
gotcha.
it.
Seems
You failed.
so much drama in math class. All right, and then now how do I get x by itself?
I'm getting exercise.
Minus. So this is 11/20 minus 1/20, which would be 10/20, which would be 1/2. And this is also negative 11/20 minus 1/20, which is
6.
Oh.
negative 12/20. Divide by 4,
3/5.
negative 3/5. So on 24, they have the 12 on the wrong side. So the first step on 24 would be minusing the 12 to the right. And then you guys know how to start.
Yeah.
Divide by 2 and square the 6. Divide 6 by 2, square, add that to both sides. Okay, on 28, quadratic formula. Okay, you do have to have this memorized. It won't be on the board like it was on Friday. So, you guys have it memorized?
Yeah.
Sure.
Ready?
Oh, I'm watching his eyes.
Negative b. I'm looking over there. Oh, it's right over there. Negative b plus or minus. Oh no.
It's written on his hand.
Square root of b squared minus 4
He's looking through his hand.
c all over 2a. All over.
All over to a.
Is Sonya helped me? Just
Okay, I guess I'm doing 28. So on 28, what's my A, B, and C?
1, -2, and 14.
1, -2, and 14.
13.
Okay,
14.
so negative B would be -2 is +2, plus or minus square root of. I think mostly you guys did this right on the quiz, but when you square the B right here, it should be like in parentheses, or just make it positive, one of the two, because that should come out positive 4. Minus 4AC over 2A. Now I believe this comes out as,
2 plus or minus square root of -5.
What?
54.
oh, is it 52 or 54? It's 56, 4 minus 56, yeah, it's 52.
So you need the I.
Okay, yeah, some of you, only the Y calculators can do these by themselves, because the square root of negative is a little too much for some calculators. But basically, you just take the negative out as an I, and then your calculator, almost all the calculators can do square root of 52, which is basically 2 square root of 13.
Oh.
So it's 2 plus or minus 2I square root of 13 all over 2, and I want you guys to split those up if it's imaginary. So both of those are divided by 2. So it's 2 over 2 plus or minus,
1.
I'll put the I down at the bottom, 2 square root of 3 over 2
You want us to simplify?
I, yes, and then these both reduce. 2 divided by 2 is 1, 2 divided by 2 is 1, so it's 1 plus or minus I squared root of 3. I lost the 3 somewhere, or the 1 and somewhere in there.
Are we doing 30? That's what.
We are doing, you are doing 30. I am doing 32. So it says 32, determine the number and nature of the solutions to each equation. Then find the solutions. You guys remember what they meant by determine the nature of the solutions?
Was it like the 2 simple answers? 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Remember what I called this thing under the square root? The discriminant. Helps you to tell the difference between what kind of answers. If it comes out as negative, for example, you get 2 imaginary. If it comes out as positive and it has a square root, you get 2 rational answers. If it doesn't have a square root, you get 2 irrational answers. If it comes out as 0, this goes away and you get 1 rational answer.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not going to make you have that memorized for the test, though.
Really?
We are just going to solve 32 and 34. And once we solve it, we can say, well, these are the kind of answers we got. So let's do 34, I guess. 32 actually factors pretty easily, so you can do that. 34, does 34 factor? What?
Can we have the test on Wednesday for that? I already got 2 tests tomorrow.
I did say that.
Said-
Sam, way to hold yourself back. Sam was turning like green, aren't you? It's taking over.
It's fine. He didn't hear. It's okay. It's fine.
No, I thought, he said
No.
Wednesday, and I thought he said we might take it tomorrow, but.
No, I said Katie takes it tomorrow.
Why do we have to?
Katie didn't agree with that.
He did.
Katie didn't get a choice.
I'm so confused.
Awesome.
You're just gonna
We
do
have to take it
it
tomorrow.
Girl, that's everything they're gonna do.
She's messing with you.
Shut up and do
We're
it.
taking it tomorrow.
Yeah.
If she wants
Alright.
us to.
Yeah.
1
Yeah.
Moral support. so-
Sebastian is so confused.
Sebastian, why do you ever listen to Trey?
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is what I'm confused about. Okay, on 34, does that factor? What multiplies into 1 that adds up to 1?
1.
No, 1 plus 1 is not 1. So it doesn't factor, so we got to use quadratic formula, right? What is my A, B, and C for 34? 1, 1, and 1. 1, 1, 1. So, negative B,
There you go.
Wait, are you doing 34? 34.
34. minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, under the square root, I have a negative 3. So what kind of answers are we getting then? Under the square root, I got negative 3. What kind of answers? Two complex, or imaginary, basically, yes. So, square root of negative 3 is going to become I squared of 3. And I went ahead and split these up and divided them both by 2. I guess I've been putting the I over here. So we'll do that.
Oops. Made me write the I for no reason.
It's funny.
I mean, I feel like you guys, for the most part, get the quadratic formula, so I don't think you need to talk
Well,
about it.
the I
too
does
much.
confuse me sometimes. But
You just, if there's negative, you just take it out.
yeah.
Okay.
This makes sense.
On 36, it says solve using the method of your choice. What's probably the easiest way to do 36?
Square.
Square root, you mean?
Yes, that.
I would probably divide by 4 first, although you could square root at the beginning. Probably get confused though, but I'd probably divide by 4 first and then square root. 38. What should we do first on 38?
Let me think. Oh, you move everything over.
Move everything to the left. So 3t squared minus t to the left minus 1. Does it factor?
No.
No.
So 3.
So what do we have to do?
Take the number 3, negative 1.
Quadratic formula. ABC. Negative b is positive 1. B squared minus 4ac over 2a. I don't remember negative 11. Is it negative 11? Oh, there's a negative right there. Oops. It's 1 plus 12 instead of 1 minus 12. Okay, so it's 1 plus or minus square root of 13 over
6.
6.
Oh yeah, do it.
Can I do anything with that?
No.
How do you know?
No.
Just tack it on here.
That doesn't simplify. It's not imaginary. It's just irrational.
Like Trey's line choices.
Yeah.
Is this?
And I want you to print that.
Yes, this is due tomorrow.
That's okay. Makes it better.
We're doing like 60% of them together, so.
So just do the data test.
Okay, 40,
Do tomorrow, Trey.
do tomorrow.
With those kind of things, I can. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What's different on 40? Shh. It's an inequality. You guys remember how we did this? This is Thursday's assignment.
I don't like these. I kind of forgot.
Okay, well, it starts off kind of normal.
Do graph?
You can, yeah, well, you gotta solve it first.
Okay.
You either factor or do quadratic formula. I think this one factors. What goes into 2x squared?
2x and x.
What goes into negative 18?
2 and 9.
6 and negative 3, or I think this one was negative 3 and 6. Because if you put the 6 with the 2 on the outside, that would make 12x. And then the minus 3 is on the inside.
Minus 3.
12 minus 3 is 9, so yeah. Okay. If this were an equation, what would the answers have been? Positive 3 over 2 or negative 6. Okay, last Thursday, how did we set up less than problems? In the middle.
Yeah, negative 6.
In the middle.
Greater than
So yeah,
x.
I went from the smallest to the largest. So negative 6 is the smaller.
Is less than or equal to x.
Less than or equal to 3 over 2.
Correct.
If you remember.
Okay, it did ask us to graph this, so.
6, 3.
What's 3 halves? 1.5.
the other ones go away from each other.
Yep.
We did it.
No, there's one more.
One more.
Oh, we're doing 42.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Because it's the other kind, you probably forgot.
What? You're crazy.
Okay, does 42 factor? Does, what multiplies into 7, or negative 7, that adds up to 2? Nothing. So, we have to use quadratic formula. 1, 2, and negative 7. Okay, by the way, 42 is a greater than problem. Absolute, or inequality is greater than. So, how do we set up the answer? It's an or, it's smaller than the small one or bigger than the big one. So it's on the outside.
Yeah.
Okay, negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a equals negative 2 plus or minus square root of 32 over 2. 32 is
Yeah.
-2 plus or minus 4 square root of 2 over 4.
what else?
Simplify to.
Okay, remember if you reduce these, like all three of them have to divide? Because both of these are actually being divided by 2, so you can't just divide one of them. So negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2.
There. You did it.
Well, okay.
Oh no. Wait a minute.
Oh no.
Now remember this stands for two different things. It stands for negative 1 plus 2 squared root of 2 and negative 1 minus 2 squared root of 2. Which of these is the smaller of the two?
Negative.
Minus.
The minus would have to be smaller. Okay, so x is going to be smaller than the small one or bigger than the big one. So x is less than or x is greater than. Was that 1 supposed to be negative? Yeah, it was, okay.
Already turned red.
Okay, how could we make a good graph with these two?
Just put a positive 2 and a positive 1. And positive 2 and a negative 1.
No. Okay. One way we could graph this is plug it in the calculator, turn it into a decimal, and figure out about where it is. But I'm gonna cheat and not do that.
What? No.
I'm just gonna say it's over here, and this one's over here. And then x is smaller than the small one, so less than or bigger than the big one. Katie, can you do all that tomorrow?
What?
You ready for the test tomorrow?
Did you?
No, we tried to picture it in the same
It's all
way.
Katie. I think it's all Katie.
Sure.
All right, keep working on the
Yeah, slightly.
keep working on the evens.